The Wall Street Journal editorial page, quote, "No Republican would vote for legislation that stifled economic growth, promoted illegal immigration, and added to the welfare rolls, yet they essentially will do just that if they fail to pass comprehensive immigration reform." Close quote. You yourself voted against comprehensive immigration reform in the Senate. Columnist Ann Coulter, quote, "Democrats haven't won the hearts and minds of the American people, they've changed the people. They added millions of new liberal voters through immigration, so why are Republicans making fools of themselves to spot the Democrats 3 more touchdowns?" Close quote. Now, the Wall Street Journal editorial page and Ann Coulter are seldom going to be, there's an aesthetic difference if nothing else, but these are deep differences in the party. The pro-immigration and I don't know whether it's anti-immigration or secure the border first. How deep is that divide as you experience it as a senator?
You know, I think that there is a significant disagreement about the Gang of 8 immigration reform proposal.
Right.
But I think it's been oversimplified by a lot of people who just say, well, you've got those people who are for immigration reform and those who are against it. First of all, I'll say that a lot of the time when people refer to comprehensive immigration reform, what they really mean is immigration reform that includes a virtually certain to vest pathway to citizenship for the 11 million or so people who are currently here illegally. That's often code for that. What we do with the 11 million people who are currently here illegally, that ought to be a question that we address down the road. There are a few things that nearly every member of Congress, in both houses and both political parties, will agree that we need. We need visa modernization and reform. Our current immigration code is sort of stuck in the Buddy Holly era and it can't quite get out. We need to update and modernize our legal immigration system and the processes that go along with that system in order to make the whole structure more effective and more efficient and more responsive to changing economic circumstances. We also really need to secure our border. And we need an effectively functioning visa entry and exit system so that we know who's here, we know when they've arrived and when they've left. Once we have those two things in place, not just legislative.
Those should not be that hard.
No, they shouldn't be that hard. And they wouldn't be that hard but for the fact that a lot of the people who have gotten behind this and have gotten behind this mantra of comprehensive reform or nothing are in effect telling us, unless you're willing to lump amnesty in there, we won't give you anything. Unless you're willing to pass everything we want, including amnesty, we won't let you reform anything. That's holding the American people hostage, and that's wrong. There were a lot of reasons why I voted against the Gang of 8 bill. One of the many reasons had to do with this all-or-nothing approach and with the fact that this needs to be undertaken in a step-by-step sequential process where we need to accomplish those first 2 objectives first and get those provisions implemented. And then we'll be in a good position at that point to figure out how best to treat the 11 million who are here illegally with dignity and compassion and respect for the rule of law. I think that can be done, but it's got to be done in the proper sequence.
Do you want that done between now and November?
I want us to get those 2 steps finished immediately. I would love to have that done between now and November. We could get there if those who are insisting on amnesty would simply drop their demand that all of that happen up front. We ought to start in those areas where there is the most broad-based bipartisan consensus. And I'm telling you, we've got an enormous amount of broad-based bipartisan consensus for those first 2 steps.